Welcome to the Tell Me More podcast presented by Major League Success. And I have the one and only Katie Crocco with us. I think you guys are going to be in for a treat with some laughs and just having a good time.
And lots of sweat. These lights are brand new. I've never done this and they are hot. How do you guys do this all the time? This is terrible.
Oh. I don't know what lights you got, but
I mean, I don't know, something off Amazon.
But Katie is the managing broker of Remax Winners and also owner of First Monarch Mortgage.
First Monarch Mortgage, yep.
Awesome.
And Remax Winners, like not losers.
Well, Katie, I appreciate you taking time out and jumping on here and just sharing your story. This whole podcast is just about, getting real estate professionals on here to share their story of how they got into the business. I'm a big believer that if there's another agent or another real estate professional out there that can connect with you or your story, just to show that there is another path or a path to success, right? Success is the definition that we give it for ourselves, but just to show that, people that get into this business, they come from all walks of life, and just to kind of give them a glimpse as far as how you do things, how you built your business, where you want to go with your business. Obviously we'll dive into, one thing I'm curious about is the mortgage side as well as the real estate side, because where I'm currently at and my team lead, where we're currently at in our career, that's kind of the next steps for us as well, is figuring that out. So we'll dive into that. But, one thing I always start with is childhood, because I'm a big believer that what has happened in the past or how we grew up or things that have happened play a big factor into our business now, currently, and moving forward.
Yeah.
So Tell me about you growing up. What was life like?
I was not the Katie everyone knows now. I mean, a little bit, but I was very uptight. Just had to have a 4.2, had to follow the course, stuff like that. But I grew up in the industry. My mom's my principal broker and her father started the business. And so I really didn't know anything else. I stapled brochures, and we had the old thick MLS books, and you had to print a picture and tape it to the MLS sheet and mail it in to get stuff put in the MLS book, and pulling weeds on vacant houses and shoveling vacant driveways, doing all the things. So that's all I've ever known. So you just do the work that needs done and keep on trucking, and watching my mom work so hard as a single mom realtor. There were sacrifices she had to make that are necessary in this industry, and I get that. And so you just kind of learn to keep on trucking and keep on working and have a sense of humor. And my mom is a great example. Anyone who knows her knows she's I didn't fall far from the tree with that one. So she's an interesting lady, but she's a great role model. I mean, just showed me how it was done, and that, don't worry about what people think. That's them, not you. And just keep doing what you do.
Now, growing up, I had Thomas, I'm trying to think of if there was anyone else, Thomas Hamrick on here, and his mom was a real estate agent. And, for him growing up, he was like, there's no way I'm getting into the business. Was it the same for you, after seeing everything, or was it like, no, this is what I'm going to do?
It wasn't. I just had a different plan. So again, I was a super nerd, tested out of all math at OSU, 4.2, graduated left a year early. So my plan was, my grandfather worked for Chase Manhattan in Manhattan. The whole Croccos are outside of Manhattan in Jersey, and he worked there forever. And my original plan was to have him get me a job at corporate, and the Cowboys were his corporate account, and I was just going to go do corporate finance and just a numbers lady. And I got into the Fisher College of Business, but not the College of Finance.
Interesting.
With a 4.2. And I was never someone who needed a plan B. So I was like, now what? So I'm in the Fisher College of Business. So I just go down the list, and I was like, well, I'll have a job. So I did real estate and urban development. And honestly, I think it was just the best mistake that could have happened. While I would have been fine in Manhattan, I can straddle that life as well as ride a four-wheeler. Really get to help people in this line of work. And that makes me whole. That brings me joy. So it worked out. Although I was very pissed about it. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me.
Like, I get it.
Really? Seriously, Clark? So I that was rough because I always just got whatever I wanted because I worked hard and put in the time and no idea.
Yeah, it's interesting as I get to interview people and kind of hear their story of how they eventually got into real estate, of these opportunities that were like, no, I was going for this, but something happened, and that's the one thing that made me pivot, right?
Right.
For me, I was going to Ohio State for accounting, failed calculus, and
I could have helped you.
yeah, I probably needed it for sure. But that moment, I then switched majors, and then upon graduating, I was like, look, if I'm going to sell season tickets for the Blue Jackets or the Crew or some other baseball team or whatever the case may be, I might as well get into real estate and sell something that's worth a little bit more.
Listen, you sold tickets. I was Louis the Land Shark. Do you remember our indoor lacrosse team?
No,
the Land Sharks. So you're so young. I don't know. That's fine. So we had them for a couple years at Nationwide, and I was the mascot.
Oh, there you go.
So I didn't have to sell anything, but I got to dance around in a shark costume.
What made you want to do that?
My boyfriend was on the team at the time, and they needed a mascot. And I'm like, done.
She's like,
old.
Here we go.
I'll do it. I get to be ridiculous. Sign me up.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But it's just funny. Like you said, our life paths take us all these different places. I'm sorry. Why do accounting? You do not need calculus.
Dude, it was it was one of those things where it's like, why? And at Ohio State at the time, I went 07 to 11. And at the time it was, I don't know if it still is or not, but it was a requirement for accounting. And then I thought, okay, I'm going to try accounting and do a business minor. Then accounting at the time was online. And I'm like, nope, this doesn't work for me either.
Right.
So, it's just, and then, I got into real estate, I ended up taking classes 3 weeks after graduating. And, I've been with my mentor ever since, but it's one of those things where it's like, I didn't get into OSU in the beginning. I had to go to OSU Newark, and then I transferred my sophomore year and then failed a class, and that changed that. And it's just always interesting when, I hear, of other real estate professionals and their journey. It's always, stepping stones or things that are making them change.
I feel that's important because in this line of work, your ability to adapt and pivot is really important because that's what we do day to day. So those paths that you take, getting to this point and being able to adjust and being able to make moves and do it successfully gets you ready for this line of work, because that's all we do all day is pivot and redirect and do this. And I think it's funny you having the accounting background and the math background, because that's also all we do every day. If you figure every client we have is basically a math story problem. If you have this financial situation and this logistical situation, what time do the trains meet? Like it, that's really all this is. And psychology, you're hugging and buying cheese and cupcakes and wine, whatever does the
I missed that class in college.
So, I'll tell you though, I waited tables for 8 years, and that prepared me more than anything for this industry. More than anything.
I think I counted like a couple weeks ago. I think 7 members of our team have come from bartending or waiter waitress background.
If you can be successful at that, and stay calm, and it also taught me the importance of proper training. When I first got my first job at 15 at Bob Evans, there was a mass walkout. They had nobody to train, barely anybody to work, kind of how everyone's having to work right now. But back then it was really rare. So they ended up having to bring in corporate trainers for they did a mass hiring, and every position got a corporate trainer. And those of us for servers, we had 4-5 weeks of training, and you had to pass tests to get to move to the next phase. And we knew what we were doing, and we were the #1 restaurant in the state for the 3 years that those of us who got trained worked there. And it just, to this day, it shows me how important being properly trained and knowing your stuff and having pride in what you do, how important that is. And didn't learn that at college, didn't learn that anywhere else, learned it at Bob Evans.
Yeah.
But I took that. You have to recognize that value in that lesson and apply it. So
yeah. No, I totally agree. Some of the agents that I coach, they came from the Best Buy world, and so, just off the charts training, and just looking at just, different situations over life, and things that you come across. That's why I love always starting with childhood, growing up. There's some of those experiences that a lot of agents or real estate professionals have back then that they're applying to their business today.
Right.
So I wanted to, so you go into college and don't get into the Fisher School of Business, or whatever it's called. So I don't even know.
Yeah.
Right?
So I graduate, and then I do a month in Australia.
Wow.
And
Okay.
it was horrible.
What made you go to Australia? We can't skip that part because that's.
I just wanted to go. It was a before life starts trip. I went by myself and did a month, and it was the worst. I mean, it was great, but everything that could go wrong went wrong.
Oh, geez.
And that's actually, it was a really important trip because it mellowed me out. That was the catalyst to me being the Katie that everybody knows now, because everything went wrong. And I'm sitting there having an epiphany. I'm in the outback. I had just done all these hikes and got really sick and had to take an 8-hour car ride to the closest hospital. And it's the World Cup, so no one's paying attention to me. So I'm laying there on the hospital bed with IVs in and stuff. Oh, look at that. That's terrible. Oh. And I'm like, you know what? All of this preparedness I did, all of this planning, all of this prep, and it didn't mean anything. And also, I'm fine. I'm fine. This sucks, but I'm fine. Yeah. So it was one of those where I was like, why get upset? Why stress out? Why be uptight about something that you can't control? Life is going to happen, and you have to be able to have a sense of humor and laugh about it. And I look back now, and that trip was hilarious, but I was not having a good time.
Right.
But looking back now, I'm like, this Katie would have been like, what next?
So it's interesting because we've communicated a couple times, right? I don't really know you, but in college you were the mascot, so you have that, like, the sense of humor, but then you also have you're straight arrow. Like, I
didn't start drinking till I graduated college. I took all night classes because they were smaller, and the people that were in the classes wanted to learn. They wanted to be there learning, rather than the big day classes with 400 people that didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
That is the biggest thing for me. I think one of the things that it's annoying, yet I'm really proud of it, is that I'm never done learning. I actually want to know the things, whatever it may be. I'll see something, I'm like, what is that? And I'll just go research it and do some digging. And if I can't find anything out, ask Andy Mills. Good Lord, I bug the shit out of that guy. I'm just curious. I just want to know stuff.
Yeah.
And I love it about myself, but also I exhaust myself.
Yeah.
But it makes me better at my job. I'm busybody, the time flies, but yeah, I'm a lot of different things all at one time.
So when you go to Australia and you have that experience, that's kind of when just everything kind of, your guard just comes down with life.
The uptight part of me started to fade away. No, she's still there. But she only comes out now if I'm hungry or tired.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I quit my own mortgage company for a day and a half over Wendy's. I didn't come back. I left and wouldn't come back for a day and a half because I was so mad. You have to feed me.
We'll have to get into that. We'll have to get into that story. So that's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. So you go out to Australia, you have this terrible experience. Obviously now looking back, it's
good and bad. Because
yeah.
so there's certain things where you're just like, oh my God, I'm going to go have this experience. It's going to be wonderful. And I did book it with a Apple tourism or Apple whatever, because I was like, I am going to be by myself. It's my first time out. So I do want to be with a group for some security, but it ended up being all retirees and newlyweds. And I was like, hi guys, I'm by myself. So we would do these tours. And I hiked to the top of the Sydney Harbor Bridge, like very cool. And you get there and you're like, this is awesome, isn't it? Oh, I'm by myself. So I didn't have anyone to share it with, but then also I look back and I'm like mad at myself because I pissed away so many opportunities to just be in the moment because I was letting the bad experience win me over. And that was one of those things where I look back and I'm like, what a jackass I was. And how dare I not be in the moment? I spoiled it for myself, and that's my fault. That's on me.
Yeah.
And that's unacceptable. And I don't want to do that again. So, it's important to be in the moment. Or, you would get to the outback and you would get up 2 hours before dawn to hike to a spot to watch the sunrise. And it was great. But all I kept remembering was it's cold.
Now, has that helped you now?
Oh, yeah.
I'm one of those
people, especially with technology, and I think it's part of me too, having grown up in a time without the technology. When I go to concerts now, I just feel bad for everyone. Like, you're missing it. They watch it like this. I'm like, you're missing it. Yeah. It's never as good as just being here.
Yeah.
Let someone else video it. And if you like it that much, go back and watch it, but just you be there, So it's like the people that say, hashtag picture doesn't do it justice. Well, then just watch.
Right.
You're missing it.
Keep it here.
Yeah. And I take that seriously because I did that to myself, even without technology. And what a shame. What a shame that I wasn't in the moment and living it and taking it in.
It's so hard. I mean, it's one of the things I struggle with. I mean, I just got back from Memphis this past weekend, and going to the Civil Rights Museum and where Martin Luther King got shot, and just taking that all in, taking in a new city. I've never been there. Taking in the food and the culture and all of those things. We all struggle with that. And for me as a real estate agent, I think, because I got started when I was 22, all I knew was to be on this. This meant money, right? And if I was on this, then money was potentially coming in. And
I had a pager. You could have paged me. Star 911 emergency.
That's awesome. But for me, that's something that I struggle with. I still work on, still trying to get better at.
Just putting it down and being there. And it's one of those where the way I try to look at it is, if I'm doing that, I'm making the moment about me instead of the moment. I'm making whatever I'm doing about me rather than where I'm at or that food that I'm eating or that concert that I'm seeing. By doing all that stuff, I've now made it about me, and that's not why I'm here. That's not why I'm here. Yeah. So just trying to keep that in mind, that's not why I'm there. I'm there for the thing. Yeah. Whatever it is. So,
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So you go out to Australia, end up coming back.
I also, being a very intelligent woman, in my own opinion, didn't occur to me that they're opposite seasons.
I wouldn't have known that.
So I took all of the wrong clothing.
Oh, jeez.
I had this big North Face backpack that was as big as me, so I could carry it around, full of tank tops and shorts, and it's winter.
I wouldn't have known that.
Listen, that was a rough, So just, it was an interesting trip. It was just all the things. So, so you just have to be like, okay. And I drank the first time I drank was my 21st birthday, and I got really drunk off of 6 Smirnoff Ices. And
I feel like that's the gateway to
Boone's Farms. Yeah. And then I drank on my senior crawl and I only made it to the alley by Larry's and passed out drinking Zimas with the Jolly Rancher in it. Yeah. So that was interesting. But in Australia, I had gotten a little bit, and I just eased into a new life of not having school but then still everything's going wrong. So it was a great transition for me. It was good, even though it didn't feel like it was great. So
Yeah. So you come back to the States. You
yeah.
just jump into real estate, into the family business. You do something else.
Yeah. So I started working with my auntie as our photographer. So until I got licensed, I was helping her with the photography, writing descriptions. Not writing all the descriptions, but like we take measurements, we do notes on all the houses to make sure the agent didn't jack up, like what kind of countertop or flooring that is, things like that.
Right.
So I was helping her with all that for a couple months. And the funny thing is I went to go, I scheduled my test for like a Wednesday.
What year was this?
2002. It's my 20 year.
Okay.
And I scheduled for a Wednesday. And because I'm a nerd, I paid to take the grammar course the weekend before. And if anyone's taking the grammar course, you take the test and then you go over all the questions.
Yeah.
And I am the first one done on test, and I usually set the curve, not anymore, but back then. And I got a 55%. And I was pissed. So I didn't actually attend the rest of the grammar weekend. Everything I missed was stuff we never did at OSU, like who finds you for this and it's all the bureaucratic stuff, like reg this, reg that, all that stuff. And they didn't do any of that at OSU, any of it. So I just went home that weekend and I recopied the grammar book 5 times, just copied it word for word. But I was pissed at that. Like I paid for a degree in real estate urban development and I failed. Yeah. So that was a little stressful right away, but it was fine. And then, got right into the business, had my first closing in October of that year, got licensed, midsummer. And it was actually on Halloween. And I showed up as Bozo the Clown.
to the closing.
Yeah. Big feet, hair, nose, all the things. My client thought it was hysterical, but the agent across the table was like, what in the hell?
Back then,
I don't care. It's funny. It's not hurting anybody.
Yeah. Back when you got into the business, was it, were there a lot of younger agents getting in? Or I guess I've never really asked that question with people that have gotten licensed.
Always. 10, 15, but the proportion is just so much different than nowadays.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, you didn't have 3,000 new agents in 2 years. Like that just didn't happen. And you have to figure also, when I first got in, 9/11 had just happened. Rates were pretty low. All of the subprime stuff was happening. It was very different time. Kind of feels like how it is now. Like a lot more people were involved. A lot more people had their licenses. And then you have the crash and dropping like flies. You had to really learn how to adapt. And the associations were slim. Nobody wanted to participate, but they're vitally important. It's where you have a community and you learn about things. And it was interesting to watch that time.
So when you got into the business, normally I'm always asking, did you have doubters? Did you have supporters? With your background, I'm assuming it was just all supporters on the family side because they were there. But
it was, but I'm also nervous, Nelly, about everyone who knows me knows it was a big adjustment for me not knowing how much I was going to make. And that just the first couple of years, like I made $13,000 before taxes in my first year, and you have all these expenses, you have everything going on. And that just stressed me out a lot. I kept wanting to go back to waiting tables to just know, because I knew I could make money waiting tables. I was good at it.
Right.
And so to keep me from doing that, that's how, so first Monarch Mortgage started in 1997 and I got there at 2002 and they started me processing to supplement my time and my income. And I got to learn. So I had a salary processing And then I got to sell houses. And because it was in-house, if I had to show a house at 10 or go to closing at 2, as long as I got my work done processing, it wasn't a big deal. And back then, people had to bring me in papers, and, we had to make copy packs and mail them off to the underwriter. And it was very different. So it was, there were some times when I would get in at 5 a.m. just to make all the copy packs to get them overnighted that day, because I hadn't gotten it done yet.
Yeah.
So that was nice. And I did that for 10 years.
Wow.
And the knowledge that I gained and still get, even though I'm not intricately involved, I'm an owner and I sit next to everyone. And I get to hear all the conversations and only be involved if something extreme is happening. I like to say, if I have to make a phone call for First Monarch Mortgage, you're done messed up. My goal is to not have to be involved in First Monarch. So
yeah. Now with that, you said you did that for 10 years.
Yeah.
Was it because maybe the real estate side didn't take off like expected, or was it you just found out that you just liked it, or
So you have to remember, this was a plan B for me.
Yeah.
And I had also just started drinking for the first time. So my mom was like, you have 1 year. Get it out of your system.
Yeah.
And come to work. So I did. I look back at that year and I'm like, how did I not die? So there was a lot more going on than just that. But also I like to be busy. I can't sit still. And to this day, I still have 3 or 4 jobs. I can't, that's why I processed for so long. Even though I got busy, I like being not overworked, but I like being busy.
Yeah. I like doing things. Yeah.
Yeah. I like multitasking. I like being busy. I like all that.
It's one of the things that I struggle with is I enjoy working. I enjoy real estate. Sitting at home or, just chilling brings me more anxiety. I'm getting better at it now, but
I feel like we could be best friends.
It wasn't like, it's not like I'm like, it's like scratching myself but it's like, I just enjoy, hard work. I enjoy real estate. I enjoy the lifestyle that it can provide, me, can provide any of the agents that work in the business or any real estate professional. So I totally get where you're coming from.
Yeah, it's, and again, so like I said, I 20 years later, I still, last year, I feel like I had somewhere 90, 95 transactions as a solo agent, no licensed assistant, no nothing. So I'm very busy, but I also do all the payroll, all the QuickBooks, all that for all 3 companies. So the property management, Remax, and First Monarch. I'm in charge of all the advertising, all the marketing, all those decisions. And sometimes I'm tired, but for the most part, it's only, and that's the thing I have to think about. Well, it's really only spring or early fall. The rest of the time, I'm like, I'm glad I do this extra stuff because it keeps me busy. Winter, every year I get in trouble because I don't have as much to do, and I just find that shit falls through the cracks because I am not go. So I'm like,
yeah,
I forgot to do that.
How do you manage that all? I think one of the hardest things for a lot of people getting into our industry is they're coming from a career, not always, but from a place where they're tired of being told what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. And
real estate's the wrong thing for you to be in then, because that's all you say.
And that's what I tell them. I said, to be honest,
it's the same thing.
Yeah. I'm like, look, the most successful agents, the most successful teams, whatever, they tell themselves every day what to do, when to do it, and how to do it.
But so do their clients.
Yeah. And
so do the lenders. So do you like to say you control things, but you really don't. So, and that's why I think the people that come into this industry that were really successful at bartending or serving, I mean, how do you get through an insane rush? And someone called off and you're the only person behind the bar working 3 sections by yourself? I mean, how do you just do it? You just do it. And I think that's part of me that just enjoys that, really busy,
the chaos of it, kind of
the chaos of it, because it's not that it's adrenaline, is that it's not fun.
Yeah, I think it is that, right? It's that adrenaline, dopamine rush.
But then it's finding that balance too. Like, I would really love to find someone else to do all the payroll and the QuickBooks and stuff, but there's only 5 of us. I can't justify the expense. I can't. That would be stupid. So I'll just do it. It's fine. It's not a big deal. But
But how do you really manage? I mean, 95, you said 95 closings as a
Yes,
solo
I
agent.
think I don't know.
Yeah,
Somewhere around there.
okay, roughly.
Yeah.
Regardless, it's a
Yeah.
shit ton, for one agent. As well as run, other businesses, as well as, do everything else, have a life, right? Like, like for me, I
Yeah.
always talk to agents like, a lot of people need to be honest with themselves and who they are and what they're looking to accomplish.
Right.
Like for me, 95 deals is like, holy smokes, as a solo, like I would never want that, right? But like, how do you manage that? A lot of people struggle with the activity side of things.
I mean, sometimes I don't. Sometimes
Yeah.
I don't, but I think that's acknowledging it. Just like, I haven't reconciled our bank accounts since January. I'll get to it.
Yeah.
I'll get to it. There's certain things that do fall through the cracks during the busy season, but it's never something that's vitally important. And I set boundaries with my clients. When we do our consults, to give myself some space, I let them know that I'm early to bed, early to rise. So if they're trying to get with me after 9:30, but they might get an email from me at 5:30.
Yeah.
So, waking up early, getting a lot of stuff done before the day starts. You can knock a lot of stuff out in an hour if no one's bothering you.
Yeah.
It's about efficiency and managing your time, and honestly, nothing's that big of a deal. Like I have a deal falling apart right now, and you can't just freak out. Like everything's usually really calm because I'm calm. And my mom always used to say to me, if you're the professional and you're freaking out, what do you expect your clients to do? So you just have to stay calm. You just work through it. And usually everything gets done pretty quickly, but I've also managed those expectations of my clients way early in the process. And there's not a lot of debate or anything like that because I've earned that trust. So
I wanted to kind of back up a little bit. You got into the business in 2002, obviously after everything that happened, 9/11, and then leading up to 2008. How did you get started with building your business? Was it all sphere of influence? Was there direct mailers? Was it everything?
I didn't do any of that.
What?
I just took cold. Back in the day, people called the main line. You didn't have cell phones. So you just sit at the office and take calls. And because I processed and we used the same phone system, I was there all day just taking calls.
Yeah.
And they called off signs. And that's the thing. Everyone who's starting now, I feel bad because back then they called off the sign. It came straight to your office. Like there wasn't Zillow, there wasn't Realtor, there wasn't any of that stuff. So it was a lot easier for me to build a clientele because it was immediate capture.
Yeah.
To that office. So, I mean, it grew pretty quick. And also I'm based out of Marysville where we have Honda, Scott's, Nestle. Back then it was the Goodyear plant. So basically people would come in and they say, oh, I want to be within 45 minutes of Honda. Yeah. Well, so that's 6 counties. You just stay busy and you sell one new engineer a house and you get all the rest or,
Yeah.
So it was hard at first.
We had to get good at phone skills. I mean, even taking a call, off of a sign, like it's just not a give me lead.
It isn't. And it's also, I think, a lot about my personality. I'm like, I bust their chops usually right away. And I'm like, okay, I put that sign up 5 minutes ago. Look at you. So they immediately are. But that's just my personality. I don't do it on purpose. That's just how I am.
Yeah.
And I still do that to this day. Like if I get a Zillow or a realtor.com lead, there's no auto response. I text them and I'm like, I'm sure I'm the 1900th person to message you. Like I make it funny. So
I coach agents all the time on finding pillars of their business. So like I coach on pillars, right? Like, internet leads, open houses, direct mail, sphere of influence, social media, whatever. It doesn't matter to me. They all work in my opinion.
Right.
It's just which ones are you going to be consistent at? And to your point of your personality shining through and that's a way for you to kind of, break the ice and build rapport right away. There's some agents that are better suited based on their personality. Like I'm sure you would thrive in an open house situation. I'm sure you would thrive.
I actually don't.
You don't?
I hate open houses.
I hate them, but I'm sure you
hate them. No, because I don't. I don't care if I get their information. I am a very much, listen, I'm good at my job. There are my reviews out there. If you want to work with me, here's my info.
Yeah. And
I don't seek people out.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never have ever.
Yeah. The reason why I think that would be because you would leave a lasting impression to where you wouldn't need to capture their information, right? Your card would probably justify and be like, man, I walked in that door and, Katie was awesome. She stood out. Like me, I sucked at them. Like it just didn't work. Like what worked for me was internet leads, right? Like just for me, it was internet leads. That's how I built my business. And I think, getting to the point where, you getting the calls, that allowed your personality to show through right on the, first 5 seconds.
Well, and I think the thing where the internet leads are helpful for the way I'm diversified is I have the mortgage company and I have a property management company. So my philosophy is I don't sell houses. I help people solve problems.
Yeah.
People know if you're selling them, they know it and they don't appreciate it, but they love it if you're just helping them. Like, let me just help. Like I just because you called me to put a sign in the yard doesn't mean you should put a sign in the yard.
Yep.
So let's talk about it. Why am I here? Let me listen for a while. And another thing my mom always used to say is if your mouth is open, your ears are closed. So just sitting and listening so that you can appropriately diagnose the problem. So the internet leads, half the time they're like, will they rent to own? Well, why do you think you need to rent to own? Would you like to talk to one of my loan officers just to get your bearings to see if, or because they don't know. First time home buyers are my favorite. They're my favorite. And I know other people hate them, but I get to be helpful.
Yeah.
They don't know what they're doing. It's my favorite. And I know all those jokes about parents coming to the inspections and doing all this kind of stuff, but guess whose phone number I get and whose balls I bust immediately. You have to figure out who the decision makers are. And if it's the parents, they need to trust me as much as those people do. So they're in on everything. So, I just love my first time home buyers because I get to feel helpful.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, it's finding your ideal client, right?
Right.
Is it an investor? Is it first time home buyers? Is it move down, sellers or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
So going through 08.
Yeah. Everyone's like, would you prefer the crash or now? And I'm like, well, they're just both different. You have to be creative in different ways. And back then it was how do I get in the property? You would walk up the sidewalk and be like, it smells like carcass, or that's piss. Before you even got to the door, you're like, oh, that's moldy basement, or oh, this is moldy first floor. You could tell before you even got inside. I used to have to keep chest high waiters in my car. There was one house we got there and I went to open the basement stairs and the water was to the top step.
Yeah. I got in 11. So, I got the tail end of some of that stuff, but with Ryan, he was selling off REOs for a bank, and that's how I cut my teeth. So
it's in 2000. The most interesting time there was during the transition when it's not in the media, when people don't know what's happening except the agents. I'm sure everyone talks about this, but if you've seen The Big Short, that period when they're like, this can't be real. Steve Carell, this can't be real. Well, all of us going through that in the industry, we were the ones who knew it was happening. And boy, I got escorted 2006, early 2007. I was physically removed from people's homes because they were so pissed off at the numbers I was telling them, because it wasn't in the media. It wasn't anywhere. So the same as now. So people know they have to have appraisal gap or have to, do all this kind of stuff. It was the inverse of that back then. You knew you had to get the have a generator to try to get the electric on yourself, or how do we get, everyone was USDA or FHA. They didn't have to have the down payment. So how do we get all these properties to pass? You had everyone coming in when you were going to get the power on, and everyone stood in a different room of the house. So when the water went on, if you had a leak in your room, you were like, got it, turn it off. So you knew where to cut and to get, that was the kind of stuff that was going on, because the banks now, they don't let you get in and do stuff. Back then, the banks, they didn't have a clue what was happening. But you could have remodeled the whole damn thing before you got your deed. Again, it's up to you if you're going to work on something you don't own yet. But, we were just, how do you get the water out of here? How do you get the mushrooms growing out of the drywall out of here so you can get the loan done?
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where as long as the buyers are informed, people now are like, oh, well, we're buying as is, or we're doing this. I'm like, I was telling people, as long as they knew there was mushrooms and mold, people bought it back then at 6.25% interest rate.
Yeah.
So, it's just adapting and working through it. And then once it hit the media, it definitely was easier. You could go to someone's house and they're like, all right, tell me how bad it is.
Yeah.
So it definitely made a transition, but you still sell, you still work through it, you still get creative, you still solve the problem. I like to say our industry is very much like the movie The Martian, where he's like, solve the problem, and then you move to the next problem, and then you move to the next problem until you're closed, you're done. And even then you're not done.
Yeah.
You're the problem solver in perpetuity for those people if you want to retain them as clients.
And always, for me, it's always be willing to pivot, right? Just don't
think outside the box,
Yeah, don't be so headstrong and you built your business this way for the past 5 years and think that it's going to be that way for the next 10. You don't know that.
Well, and I think if you build that reputation of just that you are trustworthy and you're going to do what's in their best interest, the business will come regardless of what market is and what's going on and what's happening and all that kind of stuff. And I always like to say, if the moment you make it about yourself, you just quit doing your job, because none of what we do is about us. It's about our clients. It's about their needs, what's best for them. The second you worry about that paycheck at the closing, you literally just quit doing your job.
Yeah.
So, just helping, being helpful, solving problems.
So going through 08 to now, right, over the last, 14 years, whatever it is.
Oh,
how did you go about building your businesses? What, any highs, lows? I know you guys said you have a smaller brokerage, but obviously to get to 95 deals, you did something right? 95 a year. What was kind of that process mindset? What were some of the goals then?
I you know what? And it's so funny because I argue with another agent who's been in the business as long as me, who does well. And I don't set goals. I never have. I never have.
Is it just because you just like constantly being busy, so you don't think about it? It's just like, hey, as long as I'm.
Well, I mean it. I check in on people. Like, I don't pay for anything other than I got my face a couple places so I can have a meet cute. But I send texts to my old clients and check in on them and see how they're doing. And if I say, I mean it when I say I would love to come see what you did to the house, and I go, just care, just because I want people to thrive, and I love to see my old clients doing well, and I want to stop by and see their house, and I want to meet their new baby and not hold it, but I'm happy for them.
Yeah.
I'm cool, Aunt Katie. I'm not holding babies.
Yeah. No, I'm right there with you.
But I just mean it. If someone tags me on a Facebook group, when someone posts asking for realtor recommendations, which is a shit show, let's admit that. Welcome to 900 comments on your one post. But any of my clients that suggest me, my focus isn't on the person who did the post. My focus is on the people who tag me. So, because I don't get stuff from those posts and I'm not worried about it, but the fact that they keep tagging me, I want to acknowledge them. So I will always comment under their recommendation with some sort of meme or funny thank you, or, something really funny. So the people you did business with are the ones that know you best and are going to be the ones who refer you. So that's what I focus on, not new people.
Do you keep like some people will say top 50, top 100. No, you're just living in the moment.
No,
if you're doing a showing somewhere and you pass a client's house, or if you're in the neighborhood,
I shoot him a text and I'm like, hey, it looks nice, or if I see something that reminds me of them, or I just had someone, I sold their house and I just relisted it 8 years later. And I shot her a text and I said, head into your old stomping grounds. I'll let you know when it goes live. Just making those connections. Like,
yeah,
I just love people and I love their stories, and I love that when people thrive, or being there if something goes wrong, and actually meaning it. Like, hey, something goes wrong, you call me, or I see a client post on Facebook that something's going on, I immediately am texting them like, hey, what's happening? It could be 5 years after the deal. What's going on? Who can I send out? What do you need?
How did you get into the position of become an owner of the first Monarch title? Was that always family ran as well, or?
So my mom and her husband at the time started it.
Okay.
And then some partners came and went. And then when they got divorced, we only have 2 loan officers. We've usually only had 1, maybe 2 the whole time, no more than that. The head loan officer and I ended up getting a portion of his 50%. So that's how I got in as an owner. And then that loan officer then passed away. So my ownership and percentage increased. That sucked. That was the worst time I've ever had in this industry. But it was the loss of someone. And at that time, when they got divorced, her husband at the time, that was our only other loan officer. So we were down to 1 LO, and he was also part owner. So when he passed away,
family.
It was chaos. It was family, but it was also chaos. How do you feel that we lost so much business? So that was a true rebuilding, and we're just now, he died 5 years ago, and we're just now getting to the point where we're rebranding. We're getting a new logo. We're doing all these things because I feel like my LOs now are so successful, and we all got through that and the growing pains and figuring stuff out, because you don't realize how much you don't know until the one person holding all the keys is gone and you can't even ask them. So that was miserable. So it gets me thinking about Remax and saying, okay, well, if something happens to my mom, is everything in order? Because I can't do that again. That was the worst. But again, I'm fine. I made it.
Yeah.
So you just keep on. It's that where this too shall pass. While it's miserable, while it's happening, you keep grinding, because it's not going to be this way forever, and you just got to get through.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. What are there? Just because I'm curious.
Yeah.
From probably on a selfish level. Was it always your intention to go vertical? And is there any future plans to go vertical in other spaces, other industries within our industry, like title, anything like that?
No, the only reason we got into property management was because of the crash. Everyone was upside down underwater. So we had to figure out, we can't sell it. They need to move. What do we do? So we only started with maybe 8 or 9 rentals during the tail end, middle of the crash.
Yeah.
And then that was it for the longest time until the last 5 years. We got more. That was never the intention. You do it out of necessity. It's never that's why I said I don't set goals. I don't do plans. It's out of necessity for the client's needs. It's never about us. So as a matter of fact, the property management is, I hate it.
I don't know how you do it.
I'm not the property manager. We have someone on staff that does it. And that sounds terrible. And Matt Long, I don't know how you do it. It's terrible. But again, that's not for everybody. I have no desire to do commercial real estate. I'm curious about it. I want to learn about it, but my niche is residential. I like it. It's what I do. Even, if someone calls on an 8 unit, I'm like, I'll go, but I don't love it. So, but I'm at the point where I can be picky, make sure I refer them out to someone who knows what they're doing. So,
for sure. Now, I know you don't set goals. I want to kind of move into the future, though.
Okay.
Is there anything that you're wanting to accomplish in the next 12 months?
So everyone who knows me well knows that I focus a lot on bettering ourselves as an industry. I am extremely active in our Marysville Area Association. I'm very active in helping fellow agents. Everyone out here knows that if they have a question, they can call me and we'll walk through it. You're not at my brokerage. You're not at anything. I just want to, there's a couple of things I want to do in that field. but I'll get them done. I'll knock it out. Maybe. I don't know. If I don't, it's not the end of the world. But I do like an appraisals best practices class for agents. And Tom Francis did it with me the last time, probably 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago. We had like 85 people there. So it's just that kind of stuff where they can call me and I'll help you walk through a bad appraisal, or I'll help you do an appraisal pack, or there's certain things that need to be in there. But because I have the mortgage side, I know all the stuff that gets shot down on the back end. But I also know the real estate side where I'm like, shut up and just do it. Quit bitching. Like just do it.
Yeah.
So I can say things to other agents where the appraiser can't, or the title company can't, or, you can't, but we as peers can say things to each other and it sinks in more. So just some things like that. We have a lot of stuff going on locally, the NIMBYism and things like that. So I'm real involved. I go to city council meetings, cause a ruckus, stuff like that. So yeah, I know I do all that. I do our realtor care day every year. I'm on chair of the scholarship. It's all that extra stuff that gives me life. Like I love helping my clients, but I love really working with other agents in the industry. And I love it when they call and have a problem they need solved.
What has made you want to take that on? I'm the same way.
It's important. If someone has a bad experience with a realtor, they don't associate with that realtor. They associate it with all of us. It is vitally important for all of us to want each other to thrive and be good at our jobs, or it makes us all look bad. I'm not one of those agents when I see it's a brand new agent license number that I'm like, no, I take it as a helping, or let's do this together. I know you're brand new. I'm excited for you. I had an agent send me an offer and I said, well, I'm going to send you a counter and clean up some of your language. I could tell they had written a lot of stuff themselves and I didn't love it. It needed fixed.
Yeah.
Said, I'm going to send you a counter. And she says, what's that? So you have to stop and be like, oh, it's not their fault. They weren't trained.
Right.
So, but I love giving back because it makes us all better and it makes me better at my job. If you can teach it, that means you know it. So, and it matters what happens in the community. It matters what's going on, and it matters. I want the citizens here to know that they can come to me for the facts, rather than a Facebook group for information. So I'm at the city. People will tag me in what's going on over here, or what's going on over here, or why did this happen? And I can have a conversation with them about it. So I don't know. I think it's really important. Barbara Locke doing that, raise the bar. It's important. We have to be better. We have to be better.
No, I agree. I believe that everyone should have a coach. I believe everyone should be a peer to someone else, right? If you're walking the same path, help each other through the highs and the lows. And everyone can coach someone. I don't care if you've just done your first transaction, you can coach someone to get to that first transaction.
Right.
But
I don't have a coach.
But to be to that point but you have a mentor, right?
Right. Well, and it's that the peer. I don't have a coach. Everyone is my knowledge base. If I go on a listing appointment, I'm like, I don't know how in the hell this is going to comp out. I'll call some of my appraiser friends and be like, what would you do?
Yeah.
It's making those friends and making those connections, or
everyone.
You're right. Everyone can coach everyone. So
yeah, I mean, and it just helps you get better. Like you just said, it helps you communicate, learn communication. It helps you understand, our business better. So yeah, I'm right there with you on that stuff. And for me, I love helping agents because of what it did for me. I was 22 years old when I got in. I didn't have a clock in, clock out job. And, all my friends were right out of college. They were working those jobs and I was at the pool, working from the pool in the summertime and doing all that stuff and, going on trips. And so for me, it's like, real estate's simple, but it's hard. It's simple in the fact that it's what you spoke about. Every day I need to connect with someone, talk to them about real estate. Every day I need to follow up with someone that I already spoke with.
I don't ever talk about real estate.
Yeah.
If I've already sold them something, most of what I do is 50-50. Because you make that human connection,
Yeah. Yeah. They're
Yeah.
gonna they know you're a realtor, right? Like,
They know I'm a realtor.
yeah, it doesn't always have
Yes.
to be puking. I always say you don't have to puke real estate on people, but they have to know who you are,
Right.
right? And
Right. Well,
eventually
that's
they're
why I
gonna,
love people riding in the car with me for appointments. Like,
yeah.
I hate that went away in COVID and people are hesitant about it now, but that's my favorite part of it, because that first conversation when they leave a house is so important. And if you're not a part of it, you're missing out on their initial emotional reaction. And if they happen to be in the car with me, I got to hear that. I get to hear it rather than, yeah, that's really important. So I like to be with the people.
Yeah. I love it. I know we only got a couple minutes left.
I know I'm very chatty. I'm sorry.
5 years from now, is there anything that you're looking to
Yes.
accomplish in the next 5 years?
Lose 10 pounds. Maybe.
Still debating. No.
Work-wise, I
Or
would love
professional,
to.
some people have, hey, I want to, kind of start stepping out of the business. I want, whatever. I don't know if you have anything.
Nothing.
No,
I just keep doing what I'm doing, and I got nothing.
no, hey, that's okay. That's
Uh,
fine.
yeah. Maybe do a few more vacations.
Is it ever your goal to grow your brokerage?
No,
No.
we're happy. I'm one of those rare people who is like, I do not know how the bigger brokerages can actually oversee
They
400 people.
They can't.
But the problem is that it's my personal name on them as an agent.
Yeah.
Whatever they do reflects on me, because everyone knows they're my agent. So I cannot properly manage more people.
Yeah.
Successfully in the way I do it. And
Yeah.
I know some agents are like, well, you sound like a micromanager. I'm like, yeah, it's my name. So, but I don't, but I also want you to learn, and I understand there are certain agents that have kryptonite, that just something that they are never going to be good at. And that is fine. Earnest money. I'm the worst at remembering to get earnest money. Just terrible. I need someone to just walk around and whack me in the face. Did you get your earnest money?
You just need an earnest money assistant. That's it.
I do, just to be like Crocco, earnest money. But it's just knowing those things and being able to laugh about it. And I warn my clients, I'm like, we're doing this contract. I'm going to forget to get this from you.
So you please remind me. Yeah.
And not being ashamed. It's everybody's got their kryptonite, laughing about it. But I just keep working. I feel like to me, setting a goal, it just doesn't sit well with me, because then I feel like I would be the kind of personality where I would beat myself up if I didn't hit the goal. And that's not the point of it. Like, I just want to be able to go with the flow and not worry about it. If something happens and I only have 40 deals next year, I've set myself up where that's fine. I'll be fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
So,
well, I always end with this question. You can answer this however you want. But if you could give the audience one piece of advice that you wish you had, whether it's starting out or even now, just one piece of advice, what would you want that to be?
Be proactive, not reactive in everything, in your knowledge, in solving problems, in just everything. Be proactive, not reactive. It's so much easier to live your life in a proactive mentality. I'm not saying you have to be, you can't be reactive to things because you can't foresee everything, but the more you handle stuff up front and pre-mitigate any issues, it makes everything so much easier. So much easier.
And I think that's one of the things that will probably take someone to the level of business that you do on an individual basis.
My deals, I do so much prep work with my clients, whether buyers or sellers, that I like to think that agents like to see my name on offers, because my clients don't freak out. They don't go sideways. My deals don't fall through. But I do so much work ahead of time.
Yeah.
that when something does come up that's an issue, I had a deal fall through this morning. My folks are fine because it happens because we talked about it.
Yeah.
You know, they're not stoked, but they're not upset. On to the next. I try to put my vibe out to people. Like, listen, I got whatever happens, I got it. This is gonna suck either way because moving is miserable. Yeah. But just know that I got it. Whatever comes up, I got it.
No, I love it. Katie, yeah. I appreciate you coming on. Those that have been watching, her phone number is at the bottom of the screen. But Katie, for those that want to reach out to you, if they connected with your story, if they're another real estate agent or real estate professional and they just want to reach out to you just to chat, or if they're a home buyer or a seller that's looking to do something in the real estate space, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
I would like you to use a typewriter and mail me a letter. Just call me.
Just call the office line. I need that sign call again. Like I miss that feeling.
Smoke signals. Yeah. But no, just call the number below or shoot me a text.
Yeah.
Just like normal.
Her number is 614-203-1984.
Or again, type me a letter. I'll pee myself if someone actually does that. Like,
if that happens,
oh my God, I'm gonna text you immediately.
You have to record, not as you do it, but like a hey, 5 seconds.
Oh yeah,
it actually happened.
It will get acknowledged because that would bring me so much joy.
You guys heard it. Someone make it happen.
Anything for a gag, y'all. We need to laugh more.
Be funny. Google remax winners, Marysville.
Not losers.
Make it happen. Katie, I appreciate you coming on here.
Anytime.
Sharing your story. I just love learning, everyone's journey into this business. And
it's so awesome.
If I can ever do anything for you in the future, please let me know.
I feel like we just talked about it.
All right, Katie, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Bye, guys.